EGM Network.
Hi, everyone. This is Mary Lou Ciambriello, and you are listening to, and I hope watching, Cottage Conversations with Mary Lou. We are talking real estate, and over the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about real estate etiquette, smart money, how to spend your money. We've been talking about new construction, moving with pets, because this is a big issue down here. We want to make sure you buy a home where your pet is welcomed, and also casual housekeeping and curb appeal, because we want to have your home ready for listing. But today we're going to talk about probably the most important thing when you are selling your home, and that is pricing it properly. We all need to understand one thing. Your memories are not going to be included in that appraisal report. So please truly talk with your realtor, make sure that you understand everything, and we're going to dive right into it. First, I'm going to ask everyone to introduce themselves. We'll start with Chris Yunker. Go ahead, Chris. Say who you are. Something exciting about you, okay?
Exciting.
Yes.
So I'm Chris Yunker. I'm at RE/MAX Crown with the rest of us, and been in real estate about 10 years, sold over 600 homes. I'll add that I once tried out for the LA Galaxy soccer team in MLS.
Pretty amazing.
I was a little too old to make the team, to be honest. They like to get them really young out of high school and then grow their value. But I've always been
You were already grown in value.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. I'd already matured.
Right.
They couldn't,
Well,
they
that's
couldn't
okay.
make any money off of me at that point. No. But I always played soccer, and it's still a passion of mine. My son plays. So
That's wonderful. It's great exercise, too. Jennifer?
Hi, I'm Jennifer with the RE/MAX Crown Realty. In January, I will be there 10 years, and I don't really know what else I can say about myself.
You love what you do. You love what you do.
You
And
have
then-
beautiful
love what I do.
children that grew
Thank
up to
you.
be successes.
Yeah, you do a great
Thank you.
job. And then my favorite guest, okay, and my favorite go-to, they're two of my favorite go-tos when I need to price a property or when I need advice, is Chris and John King. Chris, I don't see that often. He's always out there selling houses. It's annoying. But John, I'm always able to catch him in the office. So John, please introduce yourself.
I'm John King. I'm the broker-owner of RE/MAX Crown Realty, and we've been doing this for quite a long time. My father started the business back in the mid to late 90s, I believe it was. So this is something I've done pretty much my entire life.
Yes, and it shows. And are you the youngest broker in the county? I was wondering that
I
this
have
morning.
no idea.
I'm going to go with you are. You could correct me if you'd like.
You're only as old as you feel, so I doubt it.
I'm about 12
Absolutely.
then.
Definitely
So
not the
anyway,
least experience, that's for sure.
Pardon me. I'm going to talk. So we really need to understand that you want to sell smart, and you don't want to sell sorry. You want to make sure that you price your house properly, and this is probably one of the biggest challenges we face. So Chris, when you go on a listing appointment, what is the first steps you take when it comes to pricing? Do you go, obviously you go there with an idea of what the home's worth.
Yeah, I try to come prepared. Sometimes you don't know until you get there whether they've made some really nice upgrades to the home. You can ask them in the conversations before you visit, have you done any updates to the kitchen and bathrooms, floors? Have you updated, new roof, these different things? But you don't really know till you get there what the condition is.
I do a two-part listing for that reason. I go in with an idea, and then I come back with what I think we can get, what I believe we can get, and I try to price tight. John, how about you?
So whenever you're pricing a home, the first step, we sit down and we try to get all of, like Chris said, you try to get all the specifics of the house. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how much square footage do you have? Obviously the location. Anybody that's done this for a long time, we typically know the neighborhoods. And for instance, like Mary Lou, you work a lot out in Vero Lake Estates. I'm sure if you give, somebody gives you an address, you pretty much know what that street looks like.
I do drive by. I do drive by too.
So a lot of, people don't understand that the public records are often incorrect. So it might say that it's 2,000 square feet and it's actually 1,200, or vice versa. It might say that it's a 4-bedroom versus, a 3-bedroom. So we try to get as much of the specifics on the house as we can.
Okay. And Jennifer, what do you do?
Well, I'll look at the actives and solds, and then to give me a general idea, and then I'll go into the home and basically break it apart.
Basically, that's what we do. We go in and we check and see what's sold. And I also check what's, like you do with what's active, but I also check what's pending, but that doesn't really help me that much. Okay. And how do you balance your comparables with seller expectations. Now, the first question I ask a seller is generally, even though I'm all prepared and I've got my number ready for me, is what are you looking for? What do you think your house is worth? Because I'll know at that point in time whether I'm wasting my time or whether I can work with them. So how do you manage seller expectations, Chris? I'm sure you're pretty good at this.
You've got a couple of different kinds of sellers, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you got someone who believes they own the Taj Mahal, and
they all believe that.
And they come to you with the exact cost of everything that they've done to the home in the last decade, and they expect to get every penny back. And what we have to explain to folks is that, you know, a used improvement is a used improvement. It's maybe worth a portion of what you paid for it originally, but at the end of the day, unless we've had a lot of appreciation in the market, they won't always get every penny back.
Yeah. And how about you, John?
So I'm a pretty straightforward person.
No.
I know that a lot of agents, whenever they go on a listing appointment, they ask the seller, what would you like to get for your home? I very seldomly do that. I come in there, I have what the sellers have told me, you know, the about their house, the square footage and all of that, age of the roof, age of the AC, water heater, that kind of stuff. And then I have my comparable active listings, pending, and sold comps. And I just sit down and I break it down, you know, like Jennifer said, we just kind of break the house apart. If you've got an old roof that needs to be replaced versus a new one, that's going to be an adjustment.
The reality of the transaction.
Of that.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't, I mean, it matters what they would like to get out of it, but, you know, they're hiring me to come out and tell them really what they actually can get for that house.
That's your people. My people aren't hiring me for that.
No.
So.
They're hiring me for top dollar. Okay, Jennifer, what do you do?
I struggle a little with pricing sometimes.
Well, we all struggle
depending.
because we want to get it right. It's not that we struggle. It's just that it's so important to us to sell the property that we want to get it right. It's always a struggle when I'm pricing a home. Okay, and now my next question would be, do you approach pricing differently on unique properties? I know I just have them appraised. If it's a unique property and I don't know what I'm doing, I just call an appraiser. Do you do that? What do you do, Chris, on a unique property? Something that you can't get comps on.
It is a challenge, right? So you almost have to go back to, you know, what were the construction costs? I have one that may be coming up here soon. The gentleman built an incredible, it's not even like people would call it like an RV garage, but it's taller than that. It's all concrete block. And then he's got a living quarters above that, almost like a third, if not fourth story.
So you could sell it separately. You could divide the land and sell it separately.
Right. And then he has a small, humble house on the corner of the same lot. So he built onto what was originally just a pretty humble home on a lot, and then made this, it's not a monstrosity, but it's something that, you know,
it's unique. It's going to be a unique property.
Which buyer is going to appreciate it? What are they going to pay for it? I think that'll be easy to sell because it's a small home. You can add on it, and he's already done. You know, for anybody that's wants stuff, has stuff. And the height of this garage is more than enough to lift a semi. I mean, it's really tall.
Wow.
You have to see it to believe it. So it's unique. But when you have those experiences, you have to start from scratch, right?
Yeah.
You don't have a basis. You have to talk to him, and you know, what was the value when you had it built. You know, and what are you looking to do with it? I think you can call
that house a paycheck. I bet you that house is going to sell quickly.
It's certainly in good condition. That helps.
Yeah. And how about you, John?
So, yeah, we get all there's two different types of unique. There's unique good and there's unique not so good, right?
Cobbled together.
All right. And with having, you know, almost 50 agents, most of the unique ones cross across my desk. So I'm fortunate with that because I like a challenge and I like running numbers. And Chris really hit it on the head when he said you have to look at what the construction cost of that is. And I kind of take it a step backwards from that and say, okay, what kind of a buyer is going to purchase this property? So if it's like an RV or just a super large garage like that, you're opening yourself up to people that work on and have classic car collections where they want to be able to put in a car lift and be able to get them up off the floor. Boating, I'm a large boater, so boats are very, very large.
Absolutely.
And most big garages, even the ones that they say like an RV garage, you have height limitations on it, so you can't get the
He's
boat.
Probably surpassed. He's probably was coded in before they changed the height limitations. Yeah.
Well, so you know you're going to have your maximum height, but you have a lot of these RV garages that are, the ceiling height's very, very tall, but the door to get into it is not.
Oh.
Okay, and that's for like a car lift
planning.
or something like that.
Yeah, you need to plan.
You need to get, for a lot of boats, you need to get about 14 foot to be able to clear a radar and that kind of stuff to get in. So you have to look at, okay, here's my buyer. Is there anything on the market that would satisfy that need? If not, let's compare the house to the house, just find a comparable house and property. And then you can talk to a builder and say, how much is it going to cost to replicate what I have here? And you're not going to get dollar for dollar for it because yours is used and the other one's going to be new. But you're going to get somewhere probably, depending on the condition of it, between 50 to 70% what it would cost to.
But you can use the argument that it would probably cost more to build it.
Oh, it always will cost more.
That's what I'm saying. So that would also be adding to the value of it.
Yep.
And how about you, Jennifer?
What was the question again?
The question is unique properties. You really don't get unique properties. You get really,
I go to John with unique properties, like he said, because I want to make sure I'm giving them the best value.
I try not to go to John too often because I'm probably in that office every week, at least once a week. So
that's what I'm here for.
I know you're there for that, John, but it's a little embarrassing at my age. And I've been doing real estate longer than you. So anyway, but I
don't believe so.
I started I went to college in 73 and I started in 2003.
Yeah, I started in 2003 as well.
Okay, so we're the same
equal.
age. We're the same age, but I started in 73. But anyway, I never used it. And then let's talk about, explain the dangers, because this is really one of our biggest problems of overpricing. So Chris, what's the biggest danger of overpricing?
That you list the property and it'll just be crickets.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I mean, that's the telltale sign. And we're in a slow market already. You could price it perfectly and you may still just get a trickle of folks coming in to see the property. And even that's not you don't want to alarm your sellers, but they need to have patience in this market to wait for the buyers to show up.
I have that Crystal Palace that I'm going to be redesigning, and it's a beautiful home. It should have been gone, and I'm embarrassed that it's not, but I'll sell it. So, John, I know you're a facts guy, so I would hate to be on the other side of that conversation, but go ahead. How do you approach somebody that overprices?
So you really do not want to overprice your property, because what happens is the listing then becomes stale. And once the listing's been on the market for a couple months, people have seen it on all of their, web searches and that kind of stuff, and they just assume that there's something wrong with it.
Exactly.
And I had a perfect example. We listed, this was a friend of mine's house. He wasn't ready to sell it yet. He was working on some stuff to get into his new place. And he said, hey, let's just throw it out here, like 25 grand overpriced. And we'll just come down whenever I'm actually ready to sell it.
Yeah, they want to test the market, which is really...
When we didn't have much action, we finally got it down. He finally was ready to sell it. We lowered it down to what we had agreed on to start with for the price, and it was crickets. We had nothing, and it made no sense from a number standpoint why this house wasn't selling. So what I did is I pulled it off the market. I got new photos of it, put it back on a day later for $100 less, and had multiple offers on the property because I made it look like a new listing.
Okay, we're going to take a short break now, and then we're going to come back and we're going to answer some more questions about why you should be pricing your home right. Okay, thank you.
Hi there, Mary Lou Ciambriello again. I have a few tips for you. Those of you that live in Bureau Lake Estates or in Sebastian, you should be getting these on a regular basis. These are my postcards. So I wanted to give you some tips on what you could do with my postcards. First of all, you can do this. You can take this and you can throw it out, or you can do the right thing, and that would be to recycle it. Secondly, it's a little far, it's a little hot. You can always use it as a fan. Or you can be like my girlfriend, Linda, and she thinks she's funny, and she sends me a picture every time she gets a postcard, and she uses it as a placemat. You get enough of them, you probably have placemats. But more importantly, I have a proven track record. These are all the homes that I've sold. Whenever you get this postcard, you'll notice there's different homes on here. So if you're looking for a realtor, the purpose of this card is for you to keep it, and when you do need a realtor, give me a call. Thank you so much. You have the best day ever. And it is a little hot in here. Have the best day. Ciao for now.
Okay, so we're back again, and we're talking about, I'm going to fix my glasses here, guys. I admit I can't read without them, okay? You just know that's a little fact, okay? So say we've overpriced a home, and generally when I go in and they want to overprice the home, I'll say, okay, here's what we'll do. I'll give you 2 weeks at your price. And in 2 weeks, we should know. But you need to understand that in the first 2 weeks, that's when you're going to get the most activity on your home. So it's really important to attract your buyer in the first 2 weeks. That's my opinion. I don't know. So how do you approach someone that wants to overprice, Chris? What do you do?
Right. It's difficult because sometimes they have a number in mind, and then the argument between you and them is like a tug of war as to, I'm pretty sure the market's right here and you want maybe 20,000 more. And for me to suggest that they should list or try to sell for a little bit less is them seeing me taking money from their pocket, from their wallet. Yeah. So it's a difficult conversation to have. And
we don't want, I know a lot of agents buy a listing. They'll take it at any ridiculous price and then hammer them down to get it down to where it needs to be. And I don't like to run my business that way. I'll do a 2-week overprice, and then I'll say, I put it in the contract that we're going to lower the price on blah, blah, blah day to the right number. And how about you, John? What do you do?
So again, I'm very blunt and I'm very upfront with the clients. And some overpriced listings I just will not take, because if we don't have a relationship, between myself and the sellers, that we understand and we agree that this is a particular price that this property needs to be at to sell, then I'm not going to take that listing.
I agree.
If we don't have the same expectations, then I don't want a phone call every day saying, why isn't my property sold? So I will take them if we all agree that it's overpriced. There is no sense of urgency. They haven't found the house that they wanted to buy yet. They just want to throw it out there. It's kind of a hit or miss situation with me whether or not I'll take that listing.
I'm the same way, because I lose sleep over everyone. I don't sleep at night, and frankly, all of us do. So I'm not going to lose sleep over someone that isn't going to listen to me and doesn't trust my judgment. And how about you? What do you do when they want to overprice?
So I have kind of an issue, because what'll happen is they want to go a little higher. And if I don't put it in the listing agreement, I'll go to reassess 2 or 3 weeks later with them. And they've totally forgotten about the conversation. And they don't want to do a price reduction. And then it gets very difficult.
Well, then you're going to have to be working on that, because those are conversations you should be having with yourself in the car. I talk to myself in the car. I give myself lots of pep talks in the car.
Sometimes you need expert advice.
I know. And I get it from me talking in the car, or you or Chris or anybody that's in the office. All right. Let's talk about price points. Now, I always put $950 on the end of mine. I don't know why that is. It's just a number I like. But do you have a particular price point that you like to stay at? Do you price your homes at, let's say, $400,000, or do you come under and go $399, $999? What do you do, Chris?
Yeah. So for example, if you have a house that you legitimately think is worth, say, $410, I'm still going to ask the seller if they'd be willing to list it at $399.9. And the reason being that people do their home searches.
It's a hot spot when they
do their home searches in blocks.
Yeah.
And they get qualified for their mortgages in blocks, qualified up to buy up to 400. Or they're doing a search, send me all the houses up to 400. If you list it at 410, you lose those buyers. They actually don't see you in the search 10, results.
And
Meanwhile, they'd easily buy your house, or maybe just make that offer 10,000 less. But if it doesn't even show up on their list of homes to go see, your house is going to sit in the market longer. You're going to lose the opportunity to sell to those buyers.
Exactly. And the point is, we want to sell it as quickly as possible for as much money as possible, because they're also paying a mortgage, you're paying insurance, you're paying lots of different things that they're probably not considering when they're thinking about what they're going to net. Now, John, last time we were on here, you told a really good story about how somebody wanted to price their property, and then you said, I think it's worth more. Well, I have one of those stories, actually.
Well, great.
And I'm going to share it. Okay, I had a couple walk in. I was working for Coldwell Banker at the time, because I didn't have a book, and you need a book when you're a RE/MAX agent. And I want to say this out front: you always want to be a RE/MAX agent, because that's the best agent to be. So anyway, I had a couple come into Caldwell Banker, and at the time I was working with Karen Christensen, and they had a 9-plex on Indian River Boulevard, I guess that is over there. Okay. So I don't know my way around town. I'm sorry. Anyway, they wanted $400,000. So I went and I looked at the property, and came back, and we met the next day again. And I said, listen, I think I can get you $650. And they said to me, you're kidding. I said, no. It was a commercial property. Again, it was 9 units. So I normally like to price tight, but on a commercial, I'll go up. So I said, let's price it at $700 and see what happens. Well, we sold it for $645. And the only reason we didn't get $650 was that it had a lot of termites, and I had to give a $5,000 credit. So we do sometimes, I want you to understand, we do sometimes go out there. Our goal is always to get you the most money as possible. And like I said, last time we spoke, John had a great story about how they wanted $400, you got them $425. And that's what we do. And so it's really and truly very important for you to trust your agent. So let's get on to something else. So what is the golden rule about pricing? Jennifer, what is your golden rule?
Golden rule about pricing? Well, something that I need to start doing is, giving my price, giving what I think it's worth. And if they do try to get me to go up a little, make sure that I put it in the listing agreement that we will do a price reduction.
Just have it in there, because the activity is in the first 2 weeks, and that's the scary part. We don't want days on market. We call that DOMs, right? Days on market.
Days on market.
Okay, CDOM. Okay, that's if you've listed several times, though, John. We don't want to give them all of our secrets. Okay, so Chris, give me your golden rule.
In pricing, I would just say to try to be real honest with the seller about the recent sales. The recent sales are the only thing the appraiser is going to use to give a value if someone's buying with a loan. So bring to the table everything you found and your knowledge and experience. And if they want to go much higher or quite a bit higher, you can even write into the listing agreement that, look, we'll start there for maybe even say a month. But if we don't have results based on your strategy, we're going to pivot to my strategy to help you sell the home.
Yeah, because you are the expert. You sold over 600 homes. My goodness, please listen to me. Okay, and John, I know you've sold more than that, but go ahead.
So I really don't know how many I've sold, but
I expect to know next time.
My golden rule with pricing out a house is there's a couple different types of market. At any given cycle. So right now we're in a declining market, and during COVID we're in an increasing market. So I oftentimes put more weight on either active listings or sales comps, and not I look at them both obviously, but it doesn't matter that the exact same house sold right down the street for $300,000 if I could go out there and sell you 5 of them at $280,000 right now, because that was looking in the past. Right now in this type of a market, I put more weight on active listings, because that is what my competition is.
We're seeing a lot of price decreases in
during COVID. It was just crazy. Everything was going up. We didn't have,
the price
it
didn't
drove
matter.
me nuts because I'm a numbers guy. The price didn't matter. I'd go out and just add $20,000 for what if.
You would get 40 above asking,
and
not
I'd
even
get
trying.
multiple offers. So you have to really pay attention to the market you're in. Do not list your house at the very top of the market in a declining market, because once you lower the price to where it needs to be to sell, everybody else already lowered theirs, and you're still going to ride it down from
and
the
your
top.
Competition is sold. They're gone. They're gone.
Yep.
Well, my goal is always to pass. I can cure an appraisal. I can cure an inspection. Forgive me. Generally, I can cure an inspection. I can't cure a good appraisal. So I am really, really serious about appraisals, and I meet the appraiser every single time. I have my homework in hand. Some of them don't like your homework. Some of them take everything, and I think there's only 2 that don't take your homework. But overall, what we want you truly to understand is that when you do hire a realtor, please listen to them, because they're trying to sell your house. Don't be sorry for the price that you put on there. Be excited that you had an agent that gave you the good price, they were giving you good service, and that they cared enough to tell you the truth. So I want to thank my guests. The last time I did a podcast with John and with Chris, also David Gagner was here. the responses I got were what handsome men. Okay, now I'm very excited that they're handsome. They are. They're very handsome young men. And Jennifer's very beautiful. And I'm, for an older lady, not too bad looking. But the reality is that we're not here for that. We're here to try and teach you a little bit about the market and hopefully educate you. Our next podcast, I'm not quite sure what it's going to be on. I think we might do a listing agreement, or I might be talking to the Chamber of Commerce, because I want you to understand all the wonderful things our county has to offer. And after this podcast, there is a very short PSA that has affected my family and so many other families directly. And I hope that you take the time to watch it and help hopefully respond to it. No matter what side of the wheel you're on, everybody suffers when somebody's involved in a tragic accident that could have been prevented just by asking for the keys. Thank you so much. You have the best day ever, and ciao for now. Thank you, guys. You're always the best.
Thank you.
A home divided. What makes this home with a true mother-in-law suite so special? It is rare to find a home where your loved one can safely walk to the library, Walgreens, Aldi, 2 banks, a hairdresser, and 2 pizzerias. No driving needed. Just freedom, dignity, and independence for all. Brought to you by Mary Lou Ciambriello with RE/MAX Crown Realty.